everyone. My name is Nadine Lutfiana Putri. I'm from English department at UIN Sepasil Kediri. Today, I'm going to talk about cultural differences between Indonesian and Western countries, especially focus on individualism and collectivism. Before we discuss that, I would like to explain a few basic things first. What culture is, its main characteristic, and the idea of cross-cultural understanding. Culture is basically way of life. It includes value, beliefs, traditions, language, and how we can communicate with others. Culture shapes how we think, behave, and interact every day. For example, how we greet people or celebrate special day also respects all are influenced by our countries. There are many characteristics of culture, but here I'll mention it three. First, culture is learned, not inherited. We learn it from our family, school, or society. The second, culture is shared. People in the same group usually share the same language, traditions, and customs. The third, culture is dynamic, meaning it can change over time because of things like technology or globalization. Culture also has several elements, such as religions, language, art, customs, and social organizations. Each of these elements play an important role in shaping who we are. Now, what is cross-cultural understanding? Cross-cultural understanding means being aware of and respecting differences between people from different cultures. It is not just knowing that others' culture exists, but understanding why people act differently based on their culture values. For example, in some cultures, making eye contact shows confidence, but in others, it can be seen impolite. Without understanding these small things, misunderstanding can easily happen. As English education students, understanding culture and cross-cultural understanding is very important because when we learn English, we also learn how people from English-speaking countries think and express themselves. This helps us use the language more naturally, communicate more effectively, and become more open-minded and respectful toward others. Now that we understand what culture is, the characteristic of culture, and the element of culture, let's move to the main part. Cultural differences between Indonesians and Western countries, especially about individualism and collectivism. Every culture has its own values that affect how people behave and communicate. In many Western countries like the United States and the United Kingdom, people are usually individualistic. They value independence, personal freedoms, and self-expressions. Children they are encouraged to make their own decisions and express their opinions directly, even to parents or teachers. When they say no or disagree, it is not rude. It's seen as confidence. In addition, people more collectivistic. We care more about togetherness, harmony, and respect for others. That's why we often avoid saying no directly. We use several words like maybe later or I'll think about it. It sounds more polite and helps maintain good relationship. However, these differences can sometimes cause misunderstandings. For example, when an American coworker says, "Let's discuss this openly," they expect everyone to share their honest opinion, but an Indonesian might stay quiet to show politeness. Then the American might think we don't have any ideas while we're actually trying to be respectful. To understand this better, we can look at Hofstede's cultural dimension theory. According to Hofstede, individualism focuses on personal goals and independence, while collectivism focuses on group goals and social harmony. His research shows that countries like US have a high score in individualism, while Indonesia scores more lower, meaning we care about family and community relationship. So this theory helps us realize that cultural behavior is not about being right or wrong. These cultural values also influence how people communicate in daily life. For instance, in individualistic culture, people tend to be more direct when they speak. They say exactly what they think because being honest and clear is considered a good thing. But in collectivistic culture like Indonesia, people often use indirect expression to keep harmony. We might say something politely or with a smile, even when we actually disagree. Another example can be seen in workplace. In Western countries, it's common for employees to call their boss by their first name and share their opinions freely. But in Indonesia, we usually call our boss sir or ma'am, and we try to be careful when giving opinion. This shows that respect and hierarchy are still very important parts of our culture. Even in educations, we can see the differences. Western students are often encouraged to speak up, debate, and challenge ideas in class. Meanwhile, many Indonesian students prefer to stay quiet unless they are asked to speak. This doesn't mean Indonesian students don't have ID. It just that our culture teach us to be humble and respectful. If we understand these differences, we can communicate better with people from other cultures. We won't quietly judge others as rude or shy. Instead, we will realize that they just have a different cultural background. That's why cross-cultural understanding is very important, especially in this global era. When we study English, we are not only learning a new language, but also learning how people from English-speaking countries think and behave. By being aware of these culture differences, we can build better relationships, avoid misunderstanding, and become more confident global communicators. Okay, next, we will move to the next part, that is conclusion. To conclude, we learned that culture influences almost every part of our lives, from how we speak and behave to how we see the world. We also learned that individualism and collectivism show how different societies value independence or togetherness. Through Hofstede's theory, we can understand these differences more clearly. As English education students, developing cross-cultural understanding is essential. It helps us communicate better with people from different backgrounds and prepare us to become respectful, global-minded educators in the future. Okay everyone, so that's all about my explanations on cultural differences between Indonesians and Western cultures. I hope you understand it so well, and I hope my explanation was clear and easy to understand. Thank you for listening guys, and the last I will say bye bye.